Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Chats with Sweetie. With me, I got my sweetie, Belen.
Sweetie.
And my name is Alejandro. And of course, we're married. We've been married for almost 6 years. We've been together for about almost 13 years, which is really 12 and But yeah, it's been a long, wild ride. And
Super long.
Sweetie, thank you very much for being here with me.
You're welcome.
I guess you have no choice.
I have no choice because we're in quarantine together.
That's right. And in this podcast, by the way, for everyone wondering, what the hell are these guys going to talk about? We're going to be chatting about, first of all, this is our episode number 1. So we're going to do our intros. We're going to talk about who we are, how we met, how we started working together. And at the end, we're also going to talk about the biggest question that we get online, which is, why don't we have kids?
The baby question.
So we're going to do all of this in hopes that people can learn how to be in a normal society, in a modern society, how to be with each other, how to grow with each other, and how to make each other better. And at the same time, on your own. You don't have to be in a relationship unless it's right? And we want to make sure that people are not focused on the dumb shit. So that's what we want to start with. And I think, sweetie, let's start with you. Let's start with the Belen story.
How far deep should I go?
Sweetie, you go as deep as you want. That's what she said.
Oh,
my God.
myself
We're
up for that.
We're never going to get anywhere with this.
Well, I will do the Cliff Notes version because it's pretty long. But I was born in the USA. And then my father moved us to Spain. I grew up in Spain for 10 years. And then we moved to Orange County. I went to high school in Orange County. Then I went to college in Santa Barbara and in Italy. And then I made my way to Los Angeles when I was 23. And I went to design school and studied fashion marketing. And I always loved fashion. And I had a lot of internships with fashion. And then I met my sweetie.
That is true.
And that is kind of the background. I traveled. I was really lucky to travel a lot when I was younger, get a lot of different experiences, and that kind of led me into the world of fashion and design. And yeah, I was really, really, really fortunate to have a really amazing upbringing with awesome parents. And then I ended up in Los Angeles, and I've been there since I was 23.
That literally took 35 seconds. 35 seconds. Now...
Well, you told me not to go really in depth.
Wow. Now, here's the thing. And I'll give my story if you want to feel like you want to jump back and say yours, because I think it's important for the people that are listening to us to know where we're coming from rather than like where we were born and where we ended up with. Because I want everyone to see like, all right, I'm listening to this guy or that woman because A, B, and C. So I'm going to start, sweetie.
I mean, I did tell you to go first, and you said ladies first.
I'm very polite. You can't take the Mexican out of the Mexican, baby.
I'm just saying.
I'm always going to let you go first. So to me, my name is Alejandros Career. I was born and raised in Mexico City to be precise. At the age of 13, I started working, selling some shoes at school and whatnot, which led me to understand that my destiny was in my hands, sweetie, at a really young age, and that if I wanted something, I can get it. At the age of 16, I started working selling cars. At the age of 19 or 18, I moved to the U.S. with Rodrigo, my best friend, who I do a podcast with too.
Oh, I know Rodrigo.
Oh, I know you do. And once I moved to the U.S., that was the first time I changed my environment, and I didn't understand how to stay in the country. So what I did was, let me get a visa to stay here. What's the easiest way to do it? Through a student visa. So I went, what is the easiest thing that I can study without studying anything? And I went into acting school. And bam, before you know it, I was already reciting plays and I knew all the lines of Hansel and Gretel. No, I'm just kidding. Before you know it.
And you had great headshots.
Thank you. Oh my God, we're not going to talk about those. Before you knew it, I love that. I fell in love with acting and all that stuff. So I obviously moved to LA in pursuit of it. And sadly, because of my face and because of my lack of talent and because of the way my body looks, it didn't work out for me. So when I saw that was the case, I started to ask myself, how can you create an opportunity for yourself? And that was at the time that Jonah Hill and all of those guys were coming out with their movies, right?
Super bad.
Yeah, they were so good. And you saw the guys and, they were not the best looking guys in the world. And I was like, how? They don't have the Mexican thing going on, which is always a massive negative in that industry. It is, whether we like it or not. And I wondered, how did these guys that don't look like movie stars, like TV soap opera guys, are making it? And I started reading everything about them, and they started saying, I had to write, I had to produce, I had to make my own opportunities. So immediately, that's the first thing I did. I started creating my own opportunities. I fell in love with the world of filmmaking and started doing that. I did that for many years. At the same time, in parallel, invested in real estate. I did really well in real estate. And then from there, I started just basically working like a slave for a long time. And at the same time, I was trying to develop other businesses. I've always had an entrepreneurial mind because I worked since I was so young. And I've always been like, let me get something done. Let me try to figure out what I'm good at and what I'm bad at. And right now, I'm so grateful that I did that because it actually let me know a lot of, not a lot, but like basically enough of many industries, many different industries that I never thought I'd know anything about. And I can combine them now into like powerful concepts. So whenever we make a regular business, it's not just a regular business. It comes with the experience of the online world, the digital marketing. It comes from like the business savviness of like putting a movie together, all of that good stuff. From there, I decided at 30 that I was going to retire. And
I remember.
oh, I know.
It was a big problem. Huge problem in our relationship.
It was, hang on, it was only a huge problem for Belen, not for me. And do you want to tell people why?
Because you were home all day.
Well, that's what retirement means. It doesn't mean that you're going to
And
go
I couldn't deal with him being home all day, like eating chips in bed, basically. Like
it was the best time of my life.
It lasted like 4 weeks.
Well, it lasted that because I immediately, when I was doing that, I was like so happy and you get so creative and so full of ideas and re-energized that I started making YouTube videos. And that became a fucking thing in its own. So,
I suppose, yes.
So now we have 39 million channels online. And I opened my YouTube channel just based on cars because I wanted to see, I wanted to show people what I wanted to see. And that's why I did it. Then I opened that in Spanish too. It became a thing of its own. Grew on Instagram, grew all the social media stuff. I started working on marketing for big companies. And that's when I realized, man, I know how to do shit that most people that work in this industry can't even fucking process right now. And that's a big advantage that I took with me into the new businesses that we own, like the mezcal, the clothing, all that stuff. And that puts us basically here today. I wanted to share a little time online with you all and with my sweetie. And I think our dynamic is pretty good, not just on the how funny it is, but I feel like you can learn a lot because Belen knows a lot more than she likes to brag about. That's what we're going to get her into the habit of doing, because when you tell a story, you got to tell people, what's up? This is me. This is what I did.
So what you're saying is my introduction sucked.
I just want to know.
Really hard.
So, for example, where did your passion for clothing, how did that become a business for you? Did you work anything before that? Like, because, everybody thinks that life is like this. You get out of college, you get a job, and then from that job, you just get all the way up into the chain, and then that's it.
And that's life.
That's life.
And then you have a lot of student debt.
That's right. What's the reality of it?
So the reality for me was I've always loved fashion. It's in my DNA. I would always steal my older sister's clothes. I would go in my mom's closet from a very young age. And I would dress all of my friends in high school. They would always come to me. It was like, that was my thing. I had a ton of retail jobs. I worked at Abercrombie and Finch.
Wow.
Yeah. My name was Billy because they couldn't pronounce Belen.
No way.
I swear to God. I worked at the Santa Barbara on State Street. And I started working at bigger stores to get like more involved with dressing the mannequins, doing the visuals. And then I went to school in Santa Barbara. I hated it. I did not like traditional school. It was not for me. Like, what is political science? Like I still don't know, by the way. Like I just really did not do well in school. And I really actually didn't identify with Santa Barbara. Coming especially from living in Spain for 10 years, I needed to be immersed in like a melting pot. And that was not happening in Santa Barbara.
It was Whiteville in Santa Barbara.
Correct. And so I left there. I went back to Irvine. And like I mentioned, my parents are the most amazing parents, and they kind of let me explore. And like they didn't even want me to go to college. I'm the first one in all of my family and the generations to go to school.
Wow.
So they were like, what's college? Like, they didn't even like move me into my dorm. They didn't understand what it was. So
Yeah, and especially coming from another country, by the way, like just like your dad, I'm telling you, that doesn't exist in our countries. You just go to school around your house and
you live
call
at
it a
home.
day. That's it.
like
yeah.
you live at home until like you're 30 or you're married.
That's right.
So they were devastated when I was 18 and I was like, goodbye. Because I would like wanted to so badly be American and like, you know, do all the things that all my friends were doing. So I moved back to Irvine and I worked in a clothing store with now my manufacturer with Anushka.
Yeah.
And kind of really started getting more involved with helping her, you know, when she was doing the buying, when she was deciding what to get for spring and summer and fall and winter. And I was still kind of going to school, and then I decided to go to Florence. And that was just so colorful and so, you know, transformative. Even though I'd lived in Spain, being in Italy was just like a different layer of like creativity. And I was 18, so I was a little bit more like mature than I was when I was younger. And that also, I was obsessed with everything with fashion and reading the magazines and going to the boutiques and trying to wheeze my way into fashion shows. And then I refused to come home. My parents had to force me to come home. And then when I got back, that's when I discovered the Art Institute and I asked my dad if I could enroll in there. And of course he, you know, told me that I should, that if that was where I felt my calling was, to go there. And then I got straight A's for the first time in my life.
Wow.
When I went to that school. Like, I struggled. I went to like Sylvan Learning Center in high school. Like,
So that school must have been really easy then.
well, for sure. for sure. But I started to excel in all these classes because they were like so, you know,
Breathing and
it was what?
I'm just fucking with you. I'm just saying breathing classes and like,
Oh, I didn't go to yoga school. God. No, but it was so for the first time, like I felt like I was actually learning, and
Yeah.
it was a topic that was super interesting. And I would stay up at night, like reading and researching and wanting to do more of it because it was topics that I liked.
yeah.
So I did really well in school, and I took my time. I mean, you know, I was still in school when we met.
Oh yeah. I didn't understand why she was going to school for and why she was gone for so long. I actually don't believe her still.
Right. School, you know? But you know, when I finally graduated, again, to go back to my parents, my dad was like, take 6 months off. And I obviously know not a lot of people are in that situation where their parents are like financially helping them.
Yeah.
But he was like, take the time because you're going to work the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And you're like 22, 23 years old, like really digest what you want to do. And right around that time is when I met you. And I still, like, I dabbled in so many jobs. I want to make that very clear. Like, I worked in loans. I worked for a chef. I did marketing. Like, I had every job under the sun. Because I didn't really know. I always knew I wanted to be in fashion, but I just didn't know how to get there correctly. And especially living in LA. And these were different times. This was like 2000 and like
This is pre iPhone, guys. This
yeah,
is before
this
you
is
can
a
just
BlackBerry.
before you can just open a social media account and call yourself an influencer and then just post pictures of yourself gallivanting down the streets. You had to actually work on something.
No, it's true.
Yeah.
Like you had
I'm dead serious.
you had to have a resume.
I am dead serious.
Yeah.
I'm not just fucking around.
So living in LA was like the dream, you know, like, but at the same time, like no one gave two shits about you and they don't care that you want to be so-and-so stylist.
Yeah, especially in LA. So how'd you
Especially in
overcome
LA.
that?
So we met and you were producing movies. So one of the biggest first jobs that I got was doing one of your films.
That's right.
And I did the wardrobe styling with the professional wardrobe stylist that you guys had hired. And that was like, my brain almost exploded.
That's when I noticed how good you were.
Thank you. Let me backtrack. My first project was you. So let's start there. Cause you wore like,
I'm inspiring you. I'm like throwing roses at you and here you
listen,
go.
I just want to say like you till this day are my greatest project. So that was the first project, and then it was the movie set. But that's when I really realized like this was so amazing, and like I could tell a story through clothing and through like a scene, and it was just like it was giving me life.
Well, can I tell you what I saw when I saw you working there? I saw, number one, you were professionals and you were better than the professionals. Two, people love what you were wearing all the time. Meanwhile, they would look at those girls and everybody on set was like, ew.
They were really frumpy.
That's what I'm saying. They're looking at you, and all of the girls, like all of the stars in the film, were like, oh my God, your wife is incredible. Like, Belen is amazing. Like, can I do this? And can we talk about this? And you guys with the bags, like all that stuff, you know? And I noticed, one, like I said, you were more organized than those girls. Two, you were putting yourself together better than those girls.
Yeah.
Three, the people from the movie felt way more comfortable with you.
True.
Always. So that's when I noticed, like, this is really where you belong, to me, in my eyes.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it was so long ago, I guess. Like, I don't look at it like that. But yeah, I think because I was approachable too, and I was having fun with it. And for me, like, even till today, like, and I would do this when I was little. Like, I would lay my outfit out the night before. Like,
Yeah.
I would put my story together. And I do that with you. I mean,
Yeah.
But when you were traveling so much too, like, I love doing it. It's not a chore. So I started doing the clothing on your films. And then I met actors, and I started styling those actors and actresses for red carpets, music videos, everything in between. And that was really fun, but it was also really exhausting. Nobody wanted to pay.
Actors, aren't they amazing? People say that influencers are bad. How are actors?
Yeah.
How's working
and
with
everything?
actors?
They want everything for free, and it's schlepping so much shit all around. And then in, I think, 2012, I got approached by a matchmaker company.
Yeah.
To do personal shopping and like personal styling. And at that point in my career, I got really I was getting burnt out with the celebrity styling. And so I transitioned into the personal shopping, which was really rewarding and really amazing because I was working with these men who were very successful, but they had really no self-confidence and no style. So I did that for a couple of years, and that I loved. And I do miss time to time.
Yeah.
Because, I was able to, again, tell a story through shopping for them and helping them build their wardrobe.
When you get a black card without any limits, and they go, can you please get me all my full outfits?
That was also really fun, but not every client was like that.
But let me say, that was the best time for me because I didn't have to buy anything. I literally just watch her go to the store, spend all the money, and come back super happy. And I was like, fuck yeah, they're even paying her for this.
It's true.
Like, those men deserve a medal.
It was so fun. I do miss it. I do. And so, yeah, so that was a really, really fun point in my career in a different transition. And I forgot to mention this also. During all this, I have my blog that I started too.
Yeah.
Where I was giving tips. And this was before anyone had a blog, by the way. This was like
Yeah, we're OGs. We started this shit, whether people like it or not.
So that was also an outlet for me to be creative and give tips and just,
So you had a style blog called Style Notes by Belen.
which is still...
Which is really, by the way, really self-explanatory, great title, Style Notes by Belen.
Yeah, and it's still there. I dropped the notes. Now it's just Style by Belen.
Yeah.
But it still exists. So I did that. Then we got married. And in the winter of 2016, you asked me if I wanted to do a clothing line for you. And my response was, I don't know the first thing about designing.
Yeah.
I love clothing. I love feeling the fabrics and everything, but I don't know the first thing about like sketching or drawing or anything. And you were like, you can do it. And I was like, all right, fuck it. If Diddy did it, I can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the way I look at it with the alcohol, right?
Yeah.
Because I also came back. I was like, if Diddy did this, I can do this too.
For sure.
Yeah. Very inspiring, that man.
So
I'm serious.
100%. 100%. And for those who don't know who Diddy is.
No.
Please
Those
Google.
people are not listening to this.
And within 4 weeks, I started designing the collection, had it manufactured, and then we released in February and it sold out.
And then from there, you did another line for me, and then you did your own
Yeah.
line.
So a year, I did men's for a year, and then a year later, I noticed there was a gap in the women's clothing line industry, and I created Belen, which is a line of women's basics, everyday made and designed in LA. And now my primary focus is the clothing brands and dog bandanas, which we're launching on Monday, bandanas by New. So I don't do any more styling. I would do styling if I got, approached or it was like a really cool project. I'd love to do it. But primarily now my focus is our companies and designing.
Yeah, of course. So now let's jump into how do we start to work together? And a lot of people might not know this, but aside from what you just said, that, I was like, oh, can you do the clothing line and do this? Before that, to me, it's always been very important because I've seen so many families go through this where the dude dies or he gets divorced from the wife and he's the one that works and makes the money and all that stuff. And then the wife is lost for how many years, right? Or the other person that doesn't work is lost for how many years, trying to figure out like, man, what am I going to do? And it's kind of like a charity thing for everyone. Like, man, Lewis's ex-wife, like, can you give her a job?
Right.
So to me, it's always been really important that you understand everything that I understand and you have a really good grasp on everything that we have, on how we manage it, how it moves, and what you need. So if I was gone tomorrow, you would skip a beat, right?
No.
I mean, honestly.
I mean, if I was gone tomorrow, different situation for you.
I would be a disaster, but that's
disaster.
But that's different.
Yeah.
But as far as business goes like that. So it's not like I always just looked at you like, oh man, what kind of business can I get out of her? Or what kind of business can we open together? But it was more of a coming to my world, that it's our world now. And look at how I run this. And now you start running it with me and any questions that you have. And we did that with real estate, with all of the properties. I got you involved in the production company too. And then when we got into YouTube, we started doing a lot of stuff together. And at the same time, obviously, you're the big thing that we started to work together on. The first big thing was movies.
Yeah.
And to me it was an easy decision because Belen is really fucking good at everything that she does. She's really organized. She's on time. She likes to do everything that as someone who hires a lot of people, because working in a movie, you're hiring 150 people per movie at least, right?
Yeah.
So you got to make sure that everyone there is not a pain in the ass and that they know how to work and they're polite and they got their life together, because you'd be surprised at how many people just don't even look presentable when they show up to work. And it's not about looking presentable. They just don't know how to talk to people. They don't know how to handle.
They don't have skills.
They don't have any skills whatsoever. And I was like, man, this woman can literally take over my production company business if I get lazy, and she can just do it all. So to me, it was very important knowing that you would be there for everything I was going to throw at you, you were going to be able to handle it. So that was number one. And then number two, to me, it was a big test. Like, I'm going to bring you on set and see if we're going to go crazy being so long, like so much time together at the same time or not. And we started working together in movies, and that was never a problem, would you say?
No, we never had problems.
No. And then from there, we jumped into our clothing line, which we were doing already real estate together. Then we jumped into the clothing line. And that's when you started taking on your own that project. You started taking Shop Swipe under your arm, which is my
men's
point of sale.
collection.
Yeah, my men's collection, and where we sell the watches and all the other stuff. Belen's in charge of that. The CBD stuff, you're in charge of that. Pretty much everything in all reality.
In all reality, and every aspect of our life.
Yeah. So to me, it was a really simple thing of I can see pieces in a puzzle that fit, and I want to bring him in, and you're a big piece in that big puzzle. And I thought, this piece is going to help me put everything else together. So that was, to me, how I started working with you. What is your take? What is your point of view? How did you see it? Because every fucking story has two sides, right?
Of course.
Well, it has the side of each person that's involved.
Well, I first want to say that you were always, from the beginning, like, you wanted me to have, like, my own identity.
Yeah.
You were always like, you have your thing. I'm never going to tell you not to do anything. Like, I always want you to work. Like, meaning like, and first of all, obviously people don't know my personality, but I'm like a go-getter. Like, through and through.
All right, dude, she fucking doesn't on the weekends. I'm like, you want to stay in bed late? She's already out, like walking and doing like bullshit.
I don't know what the art of relaxing is. Like
No.
I'm a type A. I'm an Aries. I grew up with an Italian mother. Like you're up in the morning and you're go go go. Like I have an entire morning, and I call like Crystal, and she's like, "You've had like 17 things happen. And I just woke up." But I've been that way since I was young.
Yeah.
So I wanted to say that because you always like, you were never like, I don't want you to do this. I don't want you to do that. Like you were like, I had my own career, which I know was it like an attraction also, because I was very independent, and I am very independent. So that was the first thing I wanted to say, because I think that's important for people to know.
I agree.
And then what was the original question?
The original question is, how do we start working together? Like how was that from your point of view? Because I just explained how we did it, but how was through your point of view?
For me, it made sense because Alejandro and I are complete opposites. I think everyone should really understand that. We really are opposites. With me just saying that, like, I'm very organized. I know what's happening in in a week, in a day, in 6 months, in 10 years. You're the complete opposite. So I knew that was a weakness for you, and that you needed somebody like me who could help you get to the next level and not being a stranger. Like you had an assistant for a long time, but half the time I was doing her job.
Yeah.
So for me, it was a natural thing to do, because I was already kind of doing that in our relationship. And I don't mean that in a negative way, that I was like your assistant. I mean, like I was already running our life.
Yeah.
So it would make sense for me to make that transition into the business aspect of your work. So it just made sense. And you, like you said, you knew you could rely on me. You knew if call time was at 5 a.m., I would be there at 4:30 with coffee. So I think for you, that was also a sense of relief. And you also knew that you could have that trust in me versus a stranger. Yeah. So for me, I loved the challenge, and that meant to spend more time with you and like keep it in house. And also it eliminated having more people involved in our lives and more employees or staff or whatever. Yeah. So it was easy. If we've had arguments, it's really never been over anything with work. Like
No, actually never. That is actually crazy, no?
Yeah. Because I know my role and I know your role. Yeah. And also I definitely will get, like, we both can get flustered at certain scenarios.
But that happens to everyone.
No. But it took me a while though to like know, this is just an example, but like I would be like, okay, Alejandro's for sure going to be 10 minutes late. It's just a fact. Once I accepted that, then I wouldn't be so flustered.
By the way, guys, that's just an example. It's not real.
Actually, it's real.
Not real.
It's absolutely real. But I'm just saying, like, I learned your techniques too, and I adapted to you.
You learned my ways.
And I navigated with you.
Yeah.
So from my point of view, it was the next step in our relationship and for our work.
Yeah. And to me, it's easy. What you brought up is really true. I am a person that has absolutely no strengths. I'm not good at anything except one thing.
Here we go.
No, that's true. Like, that's true. I surround myself with people that can do what I can't and do the best job at it. I'm not an ego-driven motherfucker that is like, I can do this better than you. Have I ever overstepped on your toes about like what you're making on clothing and what you're making on anything?
Well, no, because you don't know anything about it.
But that's what I'm saying. I don't know anything about anything. I just see people that know what they're doing and all of that stuff. The biggest problem in business in general is exactly what you said. You're not overstepping on my toes. I'm not overstepping on yours. And most people and their ego doesn't let them do that. That's a very important thing that you have to see.
No, I agree. And
that's why it fits so well.
You also are really good at, like you said, getting the right people and putting them, like getting the puzzle together. Yeah. So,
I mean, as a producer, filmmaking wise, that's why I was meant to do that job.
100%.
I was so easy. Like, dude, I'm not the best writer. I'm not fucking the best director. I'm not the best anything. Not even close to good. But I know who are the best, and I'm going to hire them.
You can get the perfect team.
Yeah. And that's been my thing. So to you working with me, how has it been? How would you rate it? How would you rate it? No pressure. But if she says anything negative, I haven't edited out.
I would say it's a 10-10. I think for me, the most frustrating part, it's more like a
Frustrating
5, 10.
part.
The most frustrating part is you,
Me?
well, one, you have like a very short attention span. And like if I need emails responded or I need like approvals, like I have to be on you. And that is the most frustrating part. But
That's right.
other than that, like it's easy. And also because you just allow me basically to take 99.9% of the control.
Yeah, because you can.
Because I can. So I don't have to like check in that much with you where you would check in more with me, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that.
I would rate it the same way. I'd say 10 I would say 10 out of 10.
Interesting.
No complaints over here at all. At all. I like and love working with you because you compliment me so well. And by that I mean you do everything.
Amen.
So, sweetie, please tell me, how did we meet? And remember, this, everybody that's listening or watching on YouTube, and by the way, we're on Spotify, we're on iTunes, on pretty much every platform.
Plug it.
That's right, on every platform. But if you're watching this on YouTube, on Facebook, wherever you're watching this, and you're seeing our faces, there's two sides to every story.
Yeah, so
Belen's side to the story is the wrong one.
No.
I'm just giving you the preview. Go ahead, sweetie.
I actually want you to go first because we all know I have an excellent memory. I remember what you were wearing when I met you. So I want to hear your version and then I'll correct it.
Ladies first.
No, I've gone
Ladies
first.
Sweetie.
No way. I want to know your version.
Ladies first.
Because my version's accurate. So you go.
Oh, my God. All right. So the way I met my sweetie was we used to live in an apartment building, in an apartment complex together, in the same building complex. And we both had bulldogs. She had a French bulldog, I had an English bulldog. And my ex-business partner at the time had told me, I have this friend that has a Frenchie. You have to meet the Frenchie. Her name is Belen. I was like, and my friend's really funny and a little racist with his jokes. So he was like, you both have Mexican names, so you'll like each other. I was like, all right, that's why I remember that. And I didn't pay much attention to that. I was like, cool, I'll meet her one day. And I'm pretty sure we also met at some point with the dogs, but I don't fully remember exactly what happened. I remember, but I don't remember. And then one
I'll
day,
remind you, don't worry, when I
and
tell
then
it.
oh boy, and then one day, in my side of the story, so to me I broke up with my ex-girlfriend, and I was so excited about the prospect of never seeing that person ever again that I went and celebrated by buying myself a car.
Shocker.
Unfortunately, at the time, let's say that the wallet was much smaller. So I was able to buy myself a nice BMW black convertible at 3 Series.
With red leather.
With red interior, which, by the way, ballerific. Ballerific.
True.
I don't care what Belen says.
No, I liked the red. I love
now
red.
you do, because for 8
I have red
years,
nails.
she gave me shit every
No,
single
not
day.
that car. Your little red car.
Oh, we're not going to talk about that. So, so I went and got that car, and I had to, I had to go pick up the car. And the next day when I had to pick up the car, I told my friend, hey, do you mind giving me a ride? And he goes, yeah, no problem. Meet me downstairs in the garage. So I met him downstairs in the garage, and I get in his car, and you're sitting in the back seat. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what the fuck is this? And Belen goes, hi, I'm Belen. And because she's very American and she can't pronounce her name like properly to a Spanish-speaking person like myself. So he's like, hi, I'm Belen. I was like, my God, this girl's name is Glen. That is fucking terrible. I was like, all right, Glen, great to meet you. And I just started playing the Spice Girl with my boy and just started singing all the way to the dealership. It was a fantastic day. I got to the dealership, got dropped off, whatever. Then the next day, I had a problem with the car, or a day or two later. I had a problem with my car, so I had to bring it back to BMW. And when I brought it back to BMW, I was at the service place, and you were like, Alejandro? And I turned around, and I look at you, I'm like, yeah? It's like, it's me, Glen.
Okay.
I was like, oh my God, Glen, so good to see you.
You're so dumb.
I was like, Glen, it's awesome to see you. What's going on right now? And you had a black BMW at the time.
3 Series.
At 3 Series. And you're like, I can't remember what happened, but either I gave you a ride back or you gave me a ride back to our apartment complex. I can't remember. So whatever. All right, good to see you, Glen. Next day or a day later, whenever, I'm at the leasing office in the building, like talking about my lease or something that happened. And you go, Alejandro? And I turn around and I see Glen again. I'm like, oh my God, Glen, we see each other everywhere. I don't remember what the transition was. I remember that we were texting and then you had to go to New York. And I was like, dude, when she comes back, I'm going to ask her out. So we set it up. I can't remember how. And we went out. And we went out to have a dinner with my ex-business partner and his ex-girlfriend. And you and me. And at that dinner, I hated you. I was like, this is awful. I don't understand why Glenn is so mean to me.
This is news to me, by the way, that you hated me.
Oh my God. I was like, I thought you hated me. Like, pretty much every woman hates me when they meet me. Like,
You've never told me this.
it's part of life. So I'm used to it. And you were like on it. Like, you were just looking at me, judging me. I was like, holy fuck.
I mean, you had earrings.
What have I done?
I'm just saying.
It doesn't matter, guys. Be
he
you.
had earrings.
Be you. Be you. That's all I can say. And so we went to dinner and we already had a reservation somewhere to go to a lounge or something. I can't remember.
Esbar?
I think so. So we had to get in my car and go there. I was like, I already made the reservation, so we might as well go with this woman that hates me. Fucking Glen.
Fucking Glen.
Fucking Glen. So we went there. And after that night, we pretty much spent every single day of our lives together.
I mean, your version is really choppy and
Right?
you're missing so much information.
I'm getting to the good shit. What's yours?
No, finish.
No, that's how we met. And then we went out for a week straight. And then after a week straight, I asked you to go to Rome with me because I was desperate. I was like, man,
Glen
is the hottest woman I've ever seen in my life. How can I seal the deal with
ridiculous.
Glen? And we had just seen that movie Jumper with Hayden Christensen. By the way, Academy Award.
Phenomenal
Award-winning performance.
Not sure how that didn't get more recognition.
I don't understand how Hayden Christensen's not in the NFL Football Hall of Fame from that movie. He was that good. And it's a movie where he can teleport himself from one side to another one of the world. Yeah. Into an image of anything. And we came out of the movie and you were like, yeah, I imagine how awesome it would be to go anywhere like that. I was like, well, where you want to go now?
And you were like, not go down like this.
I'd love to go to Italy. I was like,
no,
bam.
I said I miss Italy. And I said, had you ever been to Rome? Anyways.
So there you go, guys.
That's
I
his
took
version.
her. I literally went and desperately bought those tickets and I took her there. And then from that trip on, we've lived together ever since. Right?
Yep. That part's right.
Okay. Okay, so now tell me your version, which is clearly the fucking bullshit version of this.
Sure. So the correct version is we were neighbors. That is accurate.
That was accurate.
You met Zoe, my Frenchie, before you met me because your ex-business partner and his ex-girlfriend used to babysit Zoe. And we had met because we lived in the same building when you lived with your ex and I had a roommate.
Boy.
And I didn't have a dog yet, and I was obsessed with Bella. So we met briefly in the elevator. Then my roommate moved back to Orange County, and I got my own apartment in the building across from yours, basically. Yeah. The first time we met was in the parking structure, and it was the day, I'll always remember, it was the day Heath Ledger died, because I was going to Chateau Marmont.
And I was celebrating that day? Man, babe, you're making me look like a total asshole.
I'm just saying. And I met you and I was like, whatever, who's this guy? And
yeah, right.
For sure. And you have a foggy memory because you told Tacey like the day after that, or a couple days after that, you said, I'm going to marry that girl. And I was very freaked out by that statement.
I'm going to be honest with you. I think Tacey made that up.
Wow. Really?
No.
Exactly. So.
Fuck me.
I'm
glad I freaked you out. So go on.
So.
By the way, that's what every fucking girl wants to, at least in my head. Every single girl, at least every single girl that dates any of my friends immediately wants to marry them. And they always have problems because the guy's like, I'm not ready to get into a relationship.
Mine was the opposite. I was like, what? What's his last name?
I'm just a brute gentleman to get into your pants and then I'm an asshole. I'm the opposite. I'm like, listen, I'm a fucking idiot. I'll do this right now. And that freaked you out?
Completely.
Congratulations to me.
So
fuck me, right? Cheers.
So we did see each other at BMW, but we did not give each other a ride back. Dave picked you up.
You're right.
And we went to Barney's.
You're right.
Because it was Valentines.
You're right.
So we did run into each other in the leasing building, and we both renewed our leases basically for the same amount of time. Like it was like a week off, which was bizarre.
I don't even remember that.
So I was going to New York for Fashion Week, and Tacey kept saying, "Oh my God, Alejandro thinks you're so pretty. He really likes you." And I'm like, he's so awkward every time I see him. Like he doesn't ask me for my number. And I took Tacey's phone and I texted you from Tacey's phone. And I said, "Hey, it's Belen. I'm going to New York. When I get back, let's like all grab dinner." And you were like, "Ooh," did all like exclamation points, smiley faces. And
I still do that, by the way.
He still does that. And I went to New York, and I remember, I'll never forget, I was out to dinner with my girlfriends, and you texted me, and I was like, "Oh my God, he texted me."
That's right.
And you were like, "What time do you get back? Do you want me to pick you up?"
What?
From the airport. And I was like, "Absolutely not. I'm going to look like a train wreck when I land." Like, no. I was like, "I have to go to BMW to drop my car off." And you were like, "Do you want to ride?" Like, you kept like asking me if I wanted all these things. And I was like, "Don't worry, we'll get dinner." Then the four of us went to Foco de Chao.
Yeah.
And I was vegan. So
see, that's
the
problem.
Probably why I was in a bad mood.
I was like, this is fucking terrible. This woman is just pissed off at existing, and she's looking at me.
Oh,
and
I was
it out on me.
hungry, and you guys took me to a Brazilian steakhouse.
There's fucking salads.
Ugh, the salad bar there. So we went on that date, and then we went out the next night. We went to a club. What was on La Cienega?
Area.
Oh, God, those were the days, you guys. Those were the days. And then we went to go see Jumper. We basically spent 4 days in a row together.
And let us be clear. Every single thing that happened was incredible. When we went to Area, we just went to Area to like chill. And Kanye was performing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know where I remember like standing wherever I was standing in our table. And I looked to the left, and Kanye West is just there with a microphone. I was like, is that Kanye West? And then they threw the spotlight on him, and he just started rapping. I was like, what the fuck is going on?
This was before social. It was like the good old days.
Yeah.
So I want to point out that nothing happened in these 4 like dates. Like, it was like we were going on like day dates. Like, we were just getting to know each other. We like really vibed.
What's the fucking rush?
I totally agree.
No,
I'm just saying.
Clearly, you have a problem with me.
Making everyone know, like, we were just
really?
like super friendly. So we went to go see Jumper.
Yeah.
And we left, and I said, "Oh my God, I miss Italy, whatever." And the next day were the Oscars. And you went to a party.
That's right. I remember.
And
it was the funniest party I've ever been to, by the way. That's a parenthesis. If anyone wants to ask me about that, I don't have another podcast on my own, but I'll tell you the story.
So you went to the Oscars. Party, sorry.
Yeah, not to the Oscars.
He didn't go to the actual Oscars.
Mexican.
And I stayed
cleaner.
home, and you came over after, and you were telling me all about it, and you were like, "Oh, I'm going to Mexico tomorrow. I have to go for like 5 days. I have to do some work out there. What are you doing the following week?" And I had just like finished school, and that was kind of like when my dad was like, "Take some time off," and I was like, "All right, I'm gonna like watch Oprah in the middle of the day and like, you know, pick up a hobby."
Right.
And I was like, "Nothing, like, I don't know." And you're like, "Well, I booked us a trip to Rome." And I was like, "I'm sorry, what's your last name? Because I don't know what you're saying." And you're like, "You said you wanted to go. Let's go."
By the way, everyone, that was before I was a social media sensation that used his last name as, So clearly this is why she's asking now.
So ridiculous. And I remember I was like, "I have to call my mom." And I called my mom. And of course, she was like, "Go." I'm like, "I don't know anything about him." She was like, "No, you have to go. Wah, wah." And you're like, "P.S. I'm leaving tomorrow for 5 days." And then we go to Italy. So we basically knew each other for 4 days.
Yeah.
And we went to Rome.
That's right. Just like in Jumper. In Jumper,
Just
it would have
like
been
in Jumper.
instantly.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we had to go on a flight. And that's when I realized that she's terrified of flying. And then
I was sedated.
She sedated herself.
Yeah, I
and
didn't
then
talk
she
to
put
him.
a mask on. And I was like, this trip is going to be just
And then
like
they
that
lost,
dinner at
they
Fogo
lost
de
our
Chao.
they lost our luggage, which has never happened to me my whole life.
But that's when you started sharing my luck, by the way. Think about it.
Wow,
Because
you're right.
all of that shit happens to me all the time.
I never lost my luggage. All those trips I've taken, never lost my luggage. Lost luggage. It rained every day, but we had the best time.
We did.
And we basically fell in love in Rome. Like,
Yeah.
But by the way,
No need to
nothing
add.
happened in Rome. He didn't even like kiss me. He finally kissed me like literally like an hour before the car was picking us up.
Can
to
I explain
take us
to
back.
people why?
I'd love to know.
Imagine if I make the move they want and she's like, what the fuck are you doing? Then I need to see her every single fucking day until
Wait,
the
didn't
end.
you get us separate rooms too? And I was like, I'm not staying in my own room.
I did.
You did.
Yeah. Because you gotta be the nice guy. You gotta
Yeah.
be like, here's your option. And then according to that option, I get an answer as to like what's gonna happen. And then from there, I gotta manage everything so that I don't do something stupid that leaves me with Glen, with Mad Glen, for 4 days in a random country that I don't speak the language at. Now I'm Italian, so now I understand it and speak it fluently. But back then it was scary.
It was scary.
And-
But again, it was so platonic and so pure. And like just so like sweet because we really were just like kind of navigating in this city we'd never been and we were getting to know each other.
Yeah.
So we got back and I'll never forget we were in a cab from LAX. This was before Uber. And we were driving by the Beverly Center and you were like, what are you going to do now? And I'm like, I don't know. And you're like, do you want to get PF Chang's? And I'm like, okay. And we've been together ever since.
Take notes, guys. Take notes. P.F. Chang's.
So we
it's
lived
in the game.
So we each had our own apartments, but we basically spent the night at each other's every other night, and then we got our own apartment together in July.
Yeah, that was quick.
We met February, and then we got done.
We've never broken up.
We've never broken up.
We've never slept in different houses or anything weird like that.
We've never separated.
Never.
Yet.
So it's. So stay tuned for the maybe second episode of this, or maybe not. That's interesting how we both have a different view of the story. Clearly mine is the right one. So
mine is just the more accurate one. That's all.
Oh, sweetie, sweetie, sweetie. And sweetie, after all these years together, and now in the kind of a public eye, I mean, nothing really serious. After all this time together, after almost 13 years together, we don't have kids. Do you want to answer the question, why don't we have kids?
Well,
I think you did. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening.
I do want to first start off and say that I think it's incredibly and painfully rude that people ask this question.
Yeah.
It's invasive.
Yeah.
And it's inconsiderate.
And the reason why is I don't think a lot of people understand it. Not a lot of people put a lot of thought behind it. And we have a lot of friends that have this problem, that they can't have kids. They
Correct.
cannot have kids.
Correct.
Because physically they're challenged to do so.
Correct.
Right? So they go through all these processes to try to get pregnant, and it destroys some marriages that we've seen. And you
everything.
know, it destroys everything and puts a lot of pressure on these people that shouldn't exist in the first place. But, you know, if they want to go through that, that's cool. But man, imagine if you were asking that question to someone like that. To us, we don't care. We just don't want to have kids. That would be the short answer, right?
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
That's a short answer. But most people are asking this, and they don't know that the person on the other side could be struggling with something like that really fucks up their life.
Correct.
At a whole different level that it would be hard to comprehend because you don't have anything like that.
I would never ask somebody that question.
Yeah.
And it always flabbergasts me. I mean, I get it almost daily.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I get it every day.
Like, there's something wrong with me because I'm not bearing a child. And it's like, there's something wrong with me because I'm not, like, don't have children. And I just think it's so unbelievably inconsiderate and rude that people ask that. Again, it doesn't bother me because I'm like, whatever. But what if I could not get pregnant and I had fertility? We had fertility issues.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, no one knows that. And I just think it's so rude. But like, it's like, when are you getting married? Oh, have you set a date? Oh, you had a kid? When's your next kid? When's this? It's like, fucking people just are so...
It's rude.
It's so rude.
It's rude. And it's because something that our parents normalized back then by insisting and telling like...
and the path that you should be on,
That's
right?
what I'm saying. Like, oh, you need to study. And if you don't study and you didn't have that. But for most people
Yeah.
is you don't go to college, you're out of my family. Like, I never want to talk to you again. Because you need to do you need to do as I say.
Yeah,
and then you're going to study, but you're going to study to be a doctor. You're not going to fucking study communications because fuck you.
Well, you're going to do what they wanted. They never did, basically. The projection.
And that is ridiculous. And that already starts setting up like a failure in everyone's head because you don't understand why you're not good enough for your parents, which you are. It's just a fucking stupid reality that you live in and that they live in. And the other one is the kids. When are you going to get married? You're already turning 30 and you're not married. And all this shit that our parents, because they didn't know any better, they didn't understand. And also at the same time, back in the day, people had to ask in person. Like right now, I get thousands of messages every day. Like, when are you going to have a child? When are you going to get a blessing? That's what they call it in Spanish.
Oh, I know. I get it.
La
too.
bendición.
Yeah.
When are you going to have a blessing? I'm like, I'm fucking blessed, son, because I don't have to fucking take care of any kids. And I respect anyone that has kids, and all of our friends have kids, and I love them all. But I don't give a shit. I
Yeah.
don't care. And another thing that I found funny too was, I don't know if you know this. I think you do. When people started like nonstop, because at some point this question was just nonstop.
It was like rampant.
Where it was like, I'm not getting anything other from people than, why don't you have a kid? When are you
Well,
going
there's
to have a
something wrong
kid?
with you because you don't have a son.
So what I did is I went on Instagram and I made a story saying, guys, I'm so sorry, but the reality is I'm impotent. I can't have kids. I've tried several times with doctors, and this is destroying my marriage.
Did people back
And
off?
then on the next story, literally right away, I said, that's bullshit, but you see how shitty you guys feel now? Stop asking this question. It's not right. You know that people turn that into like a Reddit thing, and people insult me going, you're a fucking infertile. It's infertile, right?
Yeah.
You're a fucking infertile Jew. I don't know where they got the Jew part because I'm not Jewish. But that's what people insult me with my own made-up rumor, which is incredible too, no?
People are truly something.
It's incredible. So what would be your recommendation for people that are on each side? Like the guys asking the question and the people getting the question?
One, you shouldn't ask the question. Like,
Period.
point blank.
For anyone, because you never know unless they're really, really close friends of yours and you understand their entire circumstances. I don't think there's any place whatsoever in anyone's life.
And it's like, I understand like not so much mine, but like, your life is in the public eye, but like there's certain questions, it should not concern people. And also, it's also the way it's being asked. It's like, why don't you have kids?
Why don't you? Like, what's wrong
Like,
with you?
You could say, do you think you'll have children?
No, but instead it's like, what is wrong with you?
Correct. It's insinuating there's an issue with you.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess, again, it doesn't affect me because I'm not like barren or like challenged in that department. But I would say for anyone who is going through it, like to block that out if that is messages that they are getting. And, honesty and transparency is always like important too. And if that is a topic that does bother them, to speak out on it. But I don't think anyone's questions or views or, opinions should impact you.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't impact me. I half the time I find it comical, but I do
retarded.
think it is so unbelievably rude and it's just not nice. And I just think that is a huge thing too. Like people just don't know how to be kind. And it's like, live your life.
Yeah.
You do you.
Yeah.
I'm doing me.
Yeah.
I'm not asking you questions. Why are you asking me? And it shouldn't be frowned upon either if us choosing not wanting to have kids.
No, because it doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter to anyone what everybody else does, unless they're hurting someone else. If they're not hurting anybody, who the hell cares? It's a weird society that we live in where people feel like you need to live your life. And if they're, let's say, Christians, by God's standards, you need to live your life but those standards are really your standards.
Yeah.
Nobody else's. Nobody fucking else's. You know what I mean? And people need to let that go. The other thing I want to say is for all of us on the other side getting the question, right? Like that you're getting the question, because I'm not saying how many people are going to have this problem online. I'm talking to the people that don't have anything online, that are getting it on real life. Just know that you know best. You know better. You know better than the other ones. That's the way I look at it. I know these guys are ignorant. I know they're not doing it with any mean intentions other than the idiots that attack me with the fake rumor. For example, when they do that, they just look ignorant and stupid as fuck because clearly they don't even know where to get their information from. But always know you know better, and you know that those people are just not educated, and just approach it in rather than an angry way, just approach it with an informational point of view, which is, dude, what if you were doing this to someone that can't have a kid? That's it. Just open.
Absolutely.
Because to me, when I did that, that's when the questions like really went down in volume. It really did work, because half my entire inbox really was full of messages with people saying, I am so sorry. I never thought this would be the case, blah, blah, blah. Then they looked at my other story and were like, you motherfucker.
Right.
But I understand your point.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's...
Educating people.
Yeah, education is key. And by the way, we do have a kid, and her name is Fiona.
No.
And she's perfect.
What about Tata?
Yeah. Okay,
Squirrelina.
we want fur babies.
And a lot of people are asking about Enzo. Unfortunately, we had to give Enzo to someone else to take care of him.
But he's
Love
living
it.
a great
Enzo,
life.
he's living a great life. He lives inside of a house, has a great time. The reason why is squirrels do need a lot of time and attention.
Yeah.
And between Tata and Enzo and I, we didn't want to put them together so they can have a billion.
We didn't want to be grandparents.
No. And also, Enzo's a little slow. Enzo needs a little extra help. So I'm so glad he's being taken care of. He's the sweetest freaking squirrel. I actually want to see him next week. Yeah, I'm going to go see him. And I think that's it for us. What do you think, sweetie?
I think it was great.
All right, everyone. Well, that's the first episode of Chats with Sweetie. I promise we're going to get into more topics. We're also going to see your comments and start analyzing and computing how we can make the show better for you. And by analyzing and computing is just figuring it out on our own. Baby, thank you so much for your time, my sweetie.
Sweetie sweets.
Sweetie sweets. And that's it for us.
That's a wrap.
Ivan, thank you so much for helping us record this. Everybody that's watching, please remember that we're going to be on all platforms and on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, everywhere. So you can find this podcast so you can get bored with us.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Love you. Thank you very much for watching us. I'm Alejandro. That's Belen. Behind the keyboard is Ivan. And you just heard a chat with Sweetie.
Chats with Sweetie. Taking the world by storm.
See ya.